welcome to another edition of Chesapeake Hockey Week. I am Scotty Wazz. How are you guys doing? Boy, we are getting down to it. One season is done. A couple seasons wrapping up this weekend. And then we got some other fun stuff ahead of us as the playoffs loom bright for some of these teams. And playoffs not necessarily happening for others. We'll start off with the thing that makes Maryland club hockey all that great, and that is the Crabpot Tournament. That's right, another installment of this matchup between four teams. Naval Academy, of course, the host of this one, and then the University of Maryland, Towson University, and the College of New Jersey. In this, College of New Jersey would take on Towson to start things off. And boy, College of New Jersey got out to a early 3-0 lead. Well, not early. They got a 3-0 first period lead thanks to goals from Josh Kushner, Daniel Jakob, and Daniel Jakob again with only 40 seconds remaining on that. Towson goes into the first intermission down 3-0, but they would get it back past the midway point. Who else but James Harwood would get something? Could have been an offside call on this. Not for nothing, Tyler Chimmel touches the puck as it gets deflected in from the neutral zone. He's about a foot and a half offside. He tips it in. No call. The referee had a delayed penalty. The linesman didn't see it. Chimmel chips it between his legs. James Harwood picks it up. He rips it home for his 27th. Chimmel's 8th assist. It's 3-1 under disputed fashion. However, this next one would be undisputed as a great board battle won by Jeremy Wilson gets it over to James Harwood. Harwood banks it in off the TCNJ goalie for his second of the game, 28th of the year. Jeremy Wilson's 29th assist. Towson cutting the lead to 1 after 2 periods of play, but on a power play early in the third period, Kyle Gregory puts TCNJ up 4-2. And while Jeremy Wilson did get one back, his 19th on the year on a nice little odd man rush, a great pass by Keegan Jensen over to Jeremy Wilson. Wilson's 19th, Jensen's 16th, but that's as close as Towson would get. They would fall 4-3. Then they would go to the consolation game as Luke Schwab gets 34 saves in the losing effort. So TCNJ moves on to the championship game. They would play the winner of University of Maryland and Naval Academy, and boy, howdy, this was a bit of an upset. A bit of an upset and just something that it kind of a microcosm for what's been happening with Navy this season. Just they get the shots on, they have the offensive push, but one reason or another they can't put something together. And Maryland comes up big, literally 3 goals in the last 5 minutes in the first period. Starts off with Thomas Pilkington getting his 8th, a 2-on-1 with Michael Schreibman. Schreibman slides it across to Pilkington. Pilkington hammers it home. His 8th, Schreibman's 10th assist. Maryland up 1-0. Then another odd man rush, 2-on-1 rush going the other way. A high pass in the slot from Travis Deshane to James Body. Body rips it home for his 9th after a drive to the net. Deshane's 13th assist. Maryland up 2-0. And then with 34 seconds left, Colin Doherty gets his 3rd of the year. Hey, wouldn't you know it? 2-on-1 down the other side. A pass up from James Romps. Colin Doherty with a 2-on-1 decides to hold it and rip it. That's his 3rd of the year. Romps' 5th assist. Maryland up 3-0 after 1 period of play. It would get started early in the second as well as Michael Schreibman gets on the goal side of the score sheet. 52 seconds in, a board battle won. Patrick Harning gets it out to Schreibman, and then Schreibman just puts it home from the slot. His 7th of the year. Harden's 15th assist. Maryland up 4-0. Navy kind of just taken aback by this when they were out shooting the Terps through 1 period of play and into the second as well. Could not get a goal on the board, but James Body gives, on the first power play Maryland gets, he cashes in with 5:51 remaining in the second. Just a great passing around on the perimeter there. Patrick Harning gets it to Travis Deshane. Deshane slides it across crease to James Body. He puts it home for his 2nd of the game, 10th of the year. Deshane's 14th assist, Harden's 16th assist. Terps go into the locker room after 2 periods of play, up 5-0, and it wouldn't stop there. Jack Raskowskis, his 2nd of the year, 2:50 into the 3rd. A takeaway behind the net by Patrick Harden. He gets it to Travis Deshane. Deshane passes out to Raskowskis, and Raskowskis rips it home. his second of the year, like I said. Duchesne, his third assist of the night. Same with Patrick Harnon, third assist of the night. 15th for Duchesne, 17th for Duchesne in the season. 6-0. Navy is just looking around for things to do, and they finally get on the board 6:54 and trying to stage a huge comeback as Sean Milanete gets on the board. A nice little shot pass from Jason Fisher gets Milanete's blade in the back of the net. His 10th, Fisher's 10th assist, Ray Sun's first assist of the season, but that's as close as they would get as Navy drops this one by a score of 6-1 to the University of Maryland. University of Maryland goes on. They continue to have a great postseason. As, I mean, we see what happened in the ACCHL, a big run to the final there. They get a big, I would say upset overall because Navy is a D1 team, and Maryland the only D2 team in this in the Crabpot this year. But boy, they more than earned their stripes on that one. Jack Pharisee has been outstanding in his first year. He gets 39 saves for the win. Gavin Beal gets hung with the loss. He gave up all 6 goals. He got pulled after 43 minutes exactly. Nate Schmidt gets in there for the last 17 minutes. He makes 7 saves. And, so Navy, tough one. They went on and faced Towson in the consolation game. And I guess all the rage that they had against Maryland, feeling from Maryland, they took out on Towson tenfold, almost tenfold. It's actually eightfold because Navy runs the table 8-0. Starts with Mason Rudin. He gets his 4th of the year, 8:08 into the game. A broken play kind of in transition, but he snaps it from the bottom of the slot. He puts it on for his 4th. Douglas Carr's third assist. Benny Wald's 2nd assist. Navy up 1-0. 2 minutes and 4 seconds later, Patrick Laughlin gets on the board as he picks it up in the corner, just comes around the left circle and just backhands it home. It's his 10th of the year, all alone, and it is 2-0 Navy. Then penalty troubles get into it for Towson, and Navy makes them pay. 14:39 into the frame, Andrew Pensha is the recipient of a nice cycle down low between Patrick Laughlin and Josh Reed. Gets it out to, Laughlin gets the shot on. Pensha's there to be Johnny on the spot for his 10th of the year. Laughlin's 21st assist, Josh Reed's 6th assist on the power play, 3-0 Navy. And then on another power play with under 3 minutes remaining, Aiden Wallstrom gets on the board. A good transition play between him and Douglas Carr. And then Wallstrom just snaps it home in stride. His 5th of the year, Douglas Carr's 4th assist. Navy up 4 Cobb after one period of play. Shots 18-4 in that frame. Second period, Navy keeps on going. Bobby Cunningham, who got ejected late in the game on Friday night, he gets a little bit of redemption with his 10th of the year. A wonderful keep-in at the line. And then Sean Milanete gets it to Aiden Wallstrom. Wallstrom pushes it to Bobby Cunningham. He puts it in for his 10th of the year. Wallstrom's 9th assist. Sean Milanete's 14th assist. It is now 5-0. Milanete would get a goal in this one, too, as he gets his 11th of the year. About 4 minutes later, a give and go between him and Jack Tuchel. Milanete goes backhand, kind of changes a little bit of the speed. A little backhand redirect, and away they go. Milanete's 11th, Tuchel's 5th assist. Bobby Cunningham's 10th assist. It is 6-0 after 2. Navy's PK also doing the work, really getting the puck out of there as they had to kill off 2 penalties in the second. Then 2 minutes into the third, Jack Tuchel with his 3rd of the season. A turnover at the neutral zone, a bad change from Towson. Leads to Jason Fisher being the first man in from behind the net, pushes it to Tuchel. Tuchel hammers it home for his 3rd of the season. Fisher's 11th assist, 7-0. And then it kind of just went away there. It kind of went wacky there after that. Things just going all the way around. Aiden Wallstrom would get one with only 18 seconds left. A 2-0 between him and Andrew Pensha. A little give and go. And Wallstrom gets his 6th of the year. Shorthanded, Pensha's 13th assist. Navy runs away with this one. 8-0, out shooting Towson 51-21 in this. Balin Smargazi gets the win, makes 6 saves. And then Nate Schmidt gets thrown in there for the second half of the game, makes 15 saves, a combined shutout for those two. Anthony Brooks started the game. He makes 17 saves before getting pulled for Sean Knudsen, and Knudsen makes 26 saves overall. So Yeah, a heck of a time for that consolation game. Wonder what the championship game could bring us, and boy, it brought us something. This was a heck of a matchup, and a very, interesting matchup, too, because you think about what Maryland has done this season and how that program is being built up, and this game, is kind of the culmination of all of that. It starts 148 in quickly as a turnover at the line gets kept in by Eli Petter. He moves it down to Grant Warner. Warner gets it to Jack Rakowskis up at the point. Rakowskis just fires it home through traffic. Third of the year. Warner's 11th assist. Eli Petter's 9th assist. Maryland up 1-0, and the Terps are riding high right there. But Kyle Gregory gets his 10th of the year. 5-13 into the frame, ties it up at 10. Maryland out shooting College of New Jersey 11-6 after 1, but we are tied up at 1. Power plays would be traded. Power play goals starting with TCNJ at 7:43 as Josh Kushner getting his 14th of the year on the power play. But then Brian Teskey on the power play. A nice little cross-ice pass from Patrick Harnan. Teskey right there had all the time in the world. Fires it from the right dot for his 11th of the year. Harnan's 18th assist. Caleb Craven's 7th assist. Another power play goal there makes it 2-2. Then 2 minutes and change later, Grant Warner breaks that tie, gets a rebound in front of the net, almost like he pulled it from the pads of the TCNJ goalie, and then tucks it in for his 9th of the year. Caleb Craven's 8th assist, and Maryland up 3-2. But late in the period, under a minute to go, Logan May gets his 5th of the year to tie it up at 3s after 2. And it's tied up at 3s after 3. We go into yet another overtime for a championship. It's Maryland's third, second straight championship game where they had overtime. They've been in overtimes 3 of the last 4 games that they played, and now they're looking for another one, trying to get something going, but a little miscommunication at the station with 18 seconds left allows Josh Kushner to come in and beat Jack Pharisee. The puck kind of goes off the post in the air. Kushner bunts it home like a little half check swing as spring training does start up today. And it's in the net for his 15th and the Crabpot clincher. Maryland in a heartbreaker dropped this one 4-3. Pharisee again a solid work in front of the net for Maryland. 17 saves in this one, a solid end to his first year in the pipes. And that does it for Maryland. They are done for the season. They did not make the D2 Natty Championships, but a solid season for them overall. I think the postseason really kind of summed up what they're all about and how clutch this team can be. So a hats off to them for a hell of a season overall. And I think once we do a post-mortem down the coming weeks, we will show all of that and talk about all of that. But for now, they are done. Navy, they got one more weekend. They will take on URI up at Rhode Island. So they play that weekend, or this coming weekend. And then Towson has a big weekend. They'll be up at TCNJ once again. Then they will take on Villanova at Villanova and then play Lehigh at home in a makeup game from the blizzards that happened. So there's that. And then playoffs happen abound. Maybe not for Towson, possibly for Navy. We'll see how the ECHA shakes up after this weekend. The Stevenson men, boy, they didn't have a great weekend either, as they took on Alverna and Lebanon Valley, and they got a combined total of 0 goals in 120 minutes, as they dropped both games of the weekend, being shut out first by Alvernia by a score of 2-0. Charles Becknell and Anthony Piccanino get the goals for Alvernia. So that's the scoring there. Lewis Finnegan gets 18 saves in the loss on Friday. Then they traveled up to Hershey Park happy, and no one was Hershey Park happy unless you're a Lebanon Valley Dutchman. They get 3 goals in the third period, 2 empty netters. Cade Helmer, Max Conter, Cameron Croto, and Jordan Steer get all the goals, and it's 4-0. The score on that one. Ford DeLoss makes 25 saves in the loss there. So one more weekend. It's a Friday-only matchup as Arcadia. They will be going up to Arcadia to play them before the MAC playoffs do commence. We will have to see how they bounce back from this past disappointing weekend. On the women's side, they were up at Alvernia and then home against Lebanon Valley. Up in Alvernia, not so great, as things didn't get started great for them early. Layla Tosi gets a goal, 2:13 in for Alvernia to make it 1-0. But on the power play, with under 5 minutes remaining, Abby Smith ties it all up, as just gets a rebound from a Carly Barwick shot. Smith jumps on that rebound, puts it home. Barwick with the assist, also Megan Croyle. We are tied up at 1 after 1. But then Alvernia's Maddie Morris scores midway through the second period, with Addie Golarte getting a goal 5 minutes into the third, and then an empty netter with under 5 minutes remaining from Noel DeMagistri gives Alvernia the 4-1 victory. Emily Carson makes 23 saves in the losing effort. So Stevenson then comes home. They're looking to right the wrongs from last week, or from last night's game. They take on a very tough Lebanon Valley team at the top of the charts in the MAC. They get off to a good lead. Abby Smith, once again, 5 minutes into the first period, she nets a goal on a 4-on-4 opportunity. Second chance attempt, put it in. Abby Smith bouncing on the rebounds. Carly Barwick with the initial shot. It's 1-0 for Stevenson, 5:23 in. Wasn't until 5:04 remaining in the second when Anna Dale for Lehigh, or for Lebanon Valley, rather, gets it and makes it 1-1. And then that pushed it to overtime. And in overtime, Abby Mack, return of the Mack in OT, unassisted. 2-1 is your final, as Stevenson drops a heartbreaker in overtime, with Maggie Sinnert making 48 saves in the defeat. A one-night-only special, two nights, as they will take on Arcadia and then Lebanon Valley, go up to Lebanon Valley, one of the games that was the game that was canceled during the snowstorm on that Saturday. So they'll make that one up, and that will be the end of the regular season for Stevenson's women. So we will come back with that, and we will see how it all shakes down for the MAC conference also. The Hood College Blazers, the women's side, they had a weekend up at Arcadia. I will say this, Arcadia has, Alvernia, I should mention that back in the Stevenson block. Alvernia really has done well with their video. So congratulations to them on fixing that. But in any case, Arcadia taking on Hood. Hood traveling up there. Nothing scored in the first period, but then Sophie Ancona fixes that 1:01 into the second period. A takeaway at the blue line by Dakota Ormiston gets it to Ella Phillips. Phillips gets to Sophie Ancona. Ancona snaps it home. That makes it 1-0 for the Blazers. Midway through the period, Phillips would get a goal on her goal sheet there. A great keep of the line by Lillian Scardecchio gets it to Olivia Sharkowski, who gets it to Phillips. And Phillips on the rebound off her initial backhand attempt, and then into the back of the net, makes it 2-0 for the Blazers. Arcadia would come back, though, with 5:47 remaining in the second period. Carl's Jelly wasn't so jelly about those goals. She gets one of her own, 2-1 for that going into the third period. Then late in the third on the power play, Arcadia ties it back up. Haley Koss getting one in, makes it 2-2. But a later power play for Hood with under 4 minutes remaining gets them on the board, as a rip from the point by Olivia Sharkowski is the difference maker. Sophie Ancona and Lillian Scardecchio getting the assist. It's 3-2, and that would be the final, as Hood gets another big victory for themselves. Maggie Gravala with 31 saves in this victory. And with all that, they had to travel back to Frederick, take on a Newman. And a big start for them as well for Hood College. 13:41 into the frame. Maria Del Piero gets the Blazers opening up the scoring. Couldn't see it. No feed until the second period, unfortunately, on the replay. Sophie Ancona and Maya Cheesebro with the assist. So you have to believe us, bro. 1-0 Hood after one period of play. In the second period, though, 4:20 in, Renata Petrella gets on the board to make it 2-0. A shot from the point by Emily Cross squeaks through the pads, and Petrilla there on the spot as the puck lays sitting in the crease, knocks it home, makes it 2-0. Cross and Cheeseboro with the assist. Hood up 2-0. Wasn't until under 7 minutes left in the third when Newman would strike. Giannis Sertorello gets it to a 2-1 score, but then with 4:50 remaining, Sophie Ancona somehow, someway, unchecked, one of the top scorers in the MAC, one of the biggest threats for Hood College, just just decides, you know what, I'm just going to streak down the middle with no one watching. And first off, a good play by Ella Phillips to dump it in. Maya Cheeseborough with a great retrieval to work it all around. Wait it, and here comes Sophie Ancona, untouched into the slot, rips it home, 3-1 Hood. Newman would get one with 1:25 left. Santarello again making it 3-2, but that's as close as they would get. Hood sweeps the weekend with a 3-2 win over Newman. Cameron Sonner with 23 saves in the victory there. Hood will take on Wilkes this weekend in home games Friday and Saturday, so that will kind of position them for what the MAC is going to be. The Maryland women, they played against the Penn State Nittany Lions, and a big first period for the Maryland women gets them in the driver's seat. Danny Burr, 140 in, gets her 6th of the year for Michelle Randolph. And then on a shorthanded attempt, Grace Wildberger nets her 9th of the season, with Carolyn DeZubak getting the third assist, her third assist of the year to make it 2-0. And then with 3:15 remaining, Michelle Reynoso gets her 2nd of the year on the power play from Ellie Schmenis with her 4th assist of the year. Maryland up 3-0 after one, despite getting outshot 20-6. They got a 50% shooting percentage there in this one. Molly Hillier was tested early and often and was solid in net. No scoring in the second period, but Carolyn DeZubak gets him on the board, 7:33 in her 6th of the year, all alone. Terps up 4-0. It wasn't until 2:40 remaining in the period when Tegan Radke gets her 7th of the season to make it 4-1. With 40 seconds left, Catherine Willie gets her 15th of the year for the Nittany Lions, but that's as close as they would get. Maryland, a big win in this one by a score of 4-2. Molly Hillier, 59 saves on the night, as she was stellar in this one. So, Terps will now take on Navy this weekend at Navy for their last regular season matchup of the year before the DVCHC tournament happens next weekend. So should be an interesting matchup. We will see how they fare, and could be a preview of one of the matchups we see in the next weekend. Towson, they were up at Montclair State on their penultimate game of the year. Unfortunately, did not go well for them as they dropped this one by a score of 10-2. Montclair State has plenty of skaters on their team, though. They almost doubled up the roster for Towson. It's all good in the hood, though. Heather Ryder and Sophia Ditch get goals as Julia Wilson gets the lone assist overall, as Sydney Miller makes 19 saves in this one. Towson going to be taking on Slippery Rock in their last game of the season this year, and they will be doing some stuff at the Maryland Black Bears game on the March the 8th, March the something. The first game in March, the only home game they have that weekend in March, that Friday night, I think. No, March 28th is the end of them. It's the only home game they have at the end of the month against the Philly in the split. But they'll be doing some fundraising there. So if you're at the Black Bears game next month, March 28th, check it all out there. Some D3 scores real quick. Loyola with a big win over Salisbury, 7-1. As Loyola and Salisbury will be heading out there. I think they're going to the playoffs. I don't know. But Loyola did get stopped against Navy 5-0 the next night. And then Stevenson goes over High Point 8-3 and 7-5. They get put up for ACC playoffs. They're doing some fundraising there. So if you go to Stevenson ACHA Hockey, I think it's SU ACHA Hockey on Instagram and Twitter, they have some links up there for that as well. How about we get some players? And Sam Annis, again, having a week. Had a goal and 3 assists over the week, putting him up to 72 points, 27 goals, 45 assists, 56 games for Sam Annis, who's having a breakout year in the KHL. Micah Berger had an assist on Friday night in the tie between them and Dartmouth. That puts him up to 8 assists, 14 points overall. For him this season thus far. Maddie Zapola had 2 assists for Merrimack College as she gets back on the board once again for her third and fourth assist of the year. Puts her at 6 points in 33 games for the junior at Merrimack from Bowie, Maryland. Lacey Eden keeps it rolling along, a goal and an assist in each of the games Friday and Saturday against Minnesota State. 2 wins for Wisconsin. She's got 60 points on the year, 23 goals, 37 assists in 32 games. Patrick Giles registered an assist on Sunday as a San Jose Barracuda won over the Henderson Silver Knights. That puts him at 6 assists, 11 points in 41 games this year with the Barracuda. Stephen Holiday had an assist on Monday in a 3-1 win over the Hershey Bears of the Belleville Senators. That puts him at 27 assists in 27 games for Belleville this season. You got to figure he probably gets some call back up to Ottawa once the NHL season starts up on that end. Daniel Johnson had an assist on Saturday as the Maryland Black Bears clinched a playoff spot this weekend and sweep the Northeast Generals. DJ's got 16 assists and 18 points in 34 games this season. Has been a solid addition to that Black Bears blue line for sure. Dimitri Kebrew gets back on the ice for a fair amount of time. He has been injured most of the season since November until 2 weekends ago. He gets back in the lineup. He gets his first points since coming back in the lineup and assists. He's got 4 assists and 5 points in only 13 games with UAA after a spectacular first year. Miami Jones had an assist against RPI as Dartmouth beats RPI by a count of 5-3. Puts her at a goal and 8 assists in 30 games for Miami Jones in her first year. Not a bad first year overall for her. In just kind of start out, especially with a Dartmouth club there. So solid work for Miami there. Luke Rubin, we've announced he had himself a commitment last week. It's Norwich University. He gets an assist after that commitment, putting him at his first assist of the year, in fact. So 4 goals and an assist in 23 games with Elmira so far this year. So congratulations. Nice little gift to himself for sure. Overall, Grace Campbell and BC went to overtime twice this weekend, and they went 1-for-1 in those ones. First, Friday, they dropped the 2-1 heartbreaker in this one. Grace Campbell making 30 saves in that one, but the next on Sunday night against Northeastern, 1-0 victory, gutsy play, 38 saves for the shutout, her third of the year, putting her to 13-17-1 with a 276 goals against and a 926 save percentage for Grace Campbell. A solid showing for her. Andrew Takis, unfortunately, did not have as good of a weekend as he and Colgate dropped 6-1 decision to RPI. 13 saves for Takis in a half game's work. He is a 2-5-1 with a 309 goals against a 904 save percentage. That'll do it for us there. Thank you all for listening. Appreciate it. We're getting ready for the playoffs for next week, and I'm sure we'll get a headline on what's going to happen with those and a preview of what's what and everything like that. So join us for that. Until then, I'm Scotty Wazz. Take care of yourself and someone else. This has been Chesapeake Hockey Week, part of the Face Off Hockey Show Media Faction and Podcast Monsters. Enjoy your weekend. Play that clutch and crab hockey when you can. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. We'll see you next time through. Peace.